the presentation now, we're second phase of SavvyDox add-ons to KIKO. So the portal is SavvyDox, and KIKO is offering a couple of functions to the SavvyDox product. So what we've got in the situation that we've already described is the problem the client has got right now is findability. So how do I find information in a repository of legal documents? So what we're going to do is solve the findability by creating a knowledge base. So the solution is to build that knowledge base. So we got to take every document, pump it through an engine that generates knowledge on every individual document, and then you accumulate your complete knowledge base by how many documents you've put in. We have two tools that now addresses information inside that knowledge base. One is our discovery tool, and the number two is access to the clause library. And basically the client is interested in the clause library. And what is of interest, if I say now, let's take a look at the knowledge base that I've set up for our testing. So I've taken the two documents of interest, and I've gone on the web and just generated 100 other documents, mainly from the web, about the same subject matter as the two documents that were handed over. Okay, so that will serve in our demo as the knowledge base. As it has structured all this knowledge base, the system has declared so many concepts for each of the document that represents the document. And these are in the list we call themes. So all of these themes are in fact concepts which represent most of the library or the law library clauses. Okay, the clause library is made up of all these themes. And what we're going to do this morning is just take a look at how would I access any theme of interest. So if I go back to, and I just got to pop up our window. So again, keep remembering it's any text is available to be accessed. If I put in, imagine we've pumped in all of these information. We've generated what we are going to call the clause library, and individuals now want to access those clauses. So if we move on to just looking at what, again, the structure, and this is where we have to decide. If I say the reads, well, we're going to have how did I put the documents in? And there's three capabilities, which is the reads, the profiles, and the discoveries. All of these are data capture that dumps data into the knowledge base. Our interest is either the clause to internet. In other words, I want to search for information. Therefore, there's a possibility of opening up a box, a concept box that says, give me your clause or 1 to 6 paragraphs of information, and then choose where you want to go and do your discovery. So you can go against reads, you can go against existing profiles, or you can go on the internet and find more of whatever these 2 words or 6 paragraphs of information are. So this is the concept clause. So I'm going to go back now to, because we want to focus on, and I'll full screen this one and say, okay, now what I'm interested in is to just go into the themes database and say, okay, my interest would be everything like intellectual property. So what we should have done, and because we're on a trial here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up and say, okay, I should have, when I had the box, I should have said, okay, suppose we go check in the property. So if I put in the clause intellectual property and I want to go against the reads, then I just submit, and the system actually goes, questions all of the existing knowledge base, the 102 documents we saw a while ago, and comes up with the results of the intellectual property. So if I look at the discoveries, a while ago we had one, now we got two. This is the new discovery on those documents. So if I open that up, then it says in the 102 documents, here are the findings of intellectual property across those documents. So it brought me the 10 highest rating, but now I'm comparing intellectual property to the documents, which is slightly different than what we're going to look at in a few minutes. Now I can choose any of these documents, because if I mouse over, you will see that intellectual property was detected in every one of them. But if you can see in this one, then I see intellectual property, I see property law, I see property law association, property protection. So I see more than just intellectual property. So this, by just mousing over, is a quick indication of what, other pieces of themes that I might be interested in a second phase, but intellectual property being the prime concept that is leading this discovery. So just to say these 10, and I've got here a knowledge map of those 10 results indicated to me. I could open that up just to show you the expanse of all the concepts here that are involved in these 10 documents. So we can come back to that later. If we now go to the second series of findings, and it's all in that knowledge base. If I say in this instance, I've got from intellect to intellectual property, and all of those that are of interest in that grouping. What we need, and what I have prepared, is just an indication of if somebody would put in the themes intellectual property, then what I should be receiving, and sorry about that slide, I got to take that slide out. I will receive the grouping of the clause library that says I am looking for intellectual property, but I also have Intellectual Property Academy, Property Law, Intellectual Property Office, as you can see, organization, and so on. So these are now all in play, and I've grouped together only those of interest. So if I click on any of these, and let's pick our intellectual property, and I say, what about those? Well, now I'm brought 14 documents that has intellectual property as a concept. So you can see 100, meaning it's at the first level. So it's primary concept in that document. And if I look all the way down, then I've got